Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Laundromat Millionaire Show, sponsored by HM Company at DrainTroughs.com. Before we get into this episode, we just want to take an opportunity and thank HM for their new sponsorship of Season 5 of the podcast. You probably have noticed, but they've been an advertiser of ours for a couple seasons now. And I guess they've got a pretty good return on investment because they doubled down for Season 5. And we just want to say thank you to the Heldman family over at HM. And, they're helping us keep this show free for everyone that listens and watches to the show. So if you ever have a need for a drain trough, reach out to DrainTroughs.com and at least give them an opportunity to give you a quote. We use their drain troughs in our stores, and we think you'll be happy with not only the service, but the physical product as well. Super high quality stuff. So thank you to HM and Adam Helpin over at HM.com. So before we get into this episode, our guest today is Ayad Mirjan out of Los Angeles, California. And this guy's an absolute rock star. You've probably heard about him because he's been getting a lot of publicity lately for his brand, which is he's got some amazing branding. Check out his website, things like that. His company is called Orangebag. His website is orangebag.co, but he also owns a laundromat right across the street from his pickup and delivery business. So he's doing some really big things out in California. He's actually even licensing the Orangebag name now to some licensees in the LA area. And we think you're really going to love his story, so we're excited to bring it to you today. He's been in the industry for about 7 years, and we're going to talk about everything from building a team to branding to everything in between. So we're very excited about this episode.
Before we get started, though, we're going to have a brief product spotlight with the Laundromat Millionaire Wash, Dry, Fold, and Delivery Dynamics Handbook. If you are looking to get into pickup and delivery and you haven't had a chance to come to one of our workshops, we've actually begun selling our handbook that goes along with our workshops for those who can't attend. Now, if you get our handbook and decide you do want to attend, it does also come with a $1,000 off coupon for a future workshop. But basically, this handbook goes through everything to do with pickup and delivery and wash, dry, fold, how to process the orders, how to launch the service, all of our standard operating procedures that we use. Basically, what you get to see in person in our workshop, you can read about in our handbook. And if you'd like to check that out, go to our webpage, laundromatmillionaire.com, and look under the education tab. But let's get on with our show.
This is a great space to be in. So I had an option at that point. I can either buy another store, another laundromat, or invest in the future of where this industry is headed. Keep in mind, I had no idea what I was doing. Do it yourself, build it, and then delegate it to somebody else to do.
So Ayad, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, we are honored to be joined by the Orangebag guy. Man, you've been getting some recognition, and well deserved, by the way, recognition in the industry. We love what you're doing from afar, and we can't wait to dig in a little bit more. And selfishly, we're hoping to learn a little something from you too, and hopefully you learn a little something from us during the show. But man, what an honor! Where did you tell me real quick? I sometimes like to just jump right into it. Orangebag, where did this come from? Because I think that's pretty cool branding.
Thank you. Yeah, it's been a long time coming, to be honest with you. It's almost like 5 to 6 years of overnight success, basically. Yeah. And every morning you feel like you wake up and you think to yourself, is today the day the customer's going to decide they no longer have any laundry to do? Like constantly running in the background. I think this is the standard or the life of a small business owner. This is how it runs. And so you're constantly on your toes trying to make sure that you keep pushing. You don't sit back and think to yourself, oh, look, we're getting all these accolades. We're pretty much done. Let's just pack up and keep doing what we're doing. Yeah. So
I'm curious. So you mentioned in LA, do you feel like I know in our market in Cincinnati, we're still teaching the community that laundry pickup and delivery exists? In LA, is that an issue, or do people pretty much know it's a service that exists and you're just trying to convince them that yours is the one to use?
Yes, that's a very good question. There are more customers that don't know about the service than there are customers currently using the service. This is what I'm in touch with most business owners in this space, in my market. And so I don't care if you steal my customer. It really, because there's so many customers out there to tap into. So the more companies that go into this space, the better off we are, because you're doing our marketing for us, essentially. And then at that point, the better service wins, and may the better service win. So to your point, yes, in I think in most markets, it's a growing industry. It's still a very tiny portion of what the laundry industry actually is. The wash, dry, fold aspect of it is, but I think maybe in LA or the big cities, on-demand services are more popular than perhaps the suburbs.
Yeah.
The suburbia even of Los Angeles, of Orange County, the big cities in Orange County, big cities in Los Angeles. Yeah, those are going to be where those services actually exist. I mean, the other day I was talking to a friend, and he said, "I'm going to order a coffee," and he ordered a coffee on the spot. We were at a conference. It cost him $25 with delivery fees and whatnot and add-ons. And I thought to myself, you could have walked just down the street and ordered a coffee. But this is the way of how things function nowadays. It's too easy to order online, and it would be a shame if we were not using that to our advantage, being in the laundry industry.
Yeah. I've read some research study, and we'll get into the interview in a second here, guys, but I've read some research studies out there that, as recently as 5 to 10 years ago, the laundromat industry was estimated to be about an $8 billion a year industry. That's gross revenue across all markets. And I've seen some research studies that indicate there's estimates of very large, well-funded research studies, by the way, from big companies that are estimating that it'll exceed 50 billion in the next 10 years.
Laundromats, or you just mean laundry services?
The laundry industry, which includes pickup and delivery, wash, dry, fold. It does not include dry cleaning, but it does include the self-serve industry as well. And I mean, pickup and delivery has been around. Obviously, drop-off laundry has been around. That's been a part of that 8 billion. So they're basically estimating that our industry is going to 4x in the next 10 years. And
that is unbelievable.
Yeah, and I believe it, because I see it every day when I talk to people in all these different markets of the country, and they say things similar to exactly what you just said, which is all I got to do is figure out how to be the best. I mean, every day more. I always say that the laws of supply and demand are undefeated. If they're tipped in your favor, you're going to do well. If they're not tipped in your favor, you're going to struggle in an oversaturated market. And I actually believe the segment of especially pickup and delivery laundry services across our country, I believe they're growing faster than us service providers can actually keep up with when it comes to operations, facilities, equipment, manpower, labor, training, all those different things. So all we got to do is figure out how to execute and serve people, charge a fair price where we make a reasonable margin. And I completely agree with what you said earlier about your competitors, man. We're the people that are going to be successful in the pickup and delivery game. Man, there's more business out there for us than there is us. So if we look at it through that lens, we don't have to have that scarcity mindset. But do me a favor. Let's before we get into this, I want to start back at the beginning. Tell us kind of who you are, and were you raised in LA, which is where you are now? What did you do before you became a laundry entrepreneur?
Yes. So the journey started, actually, I was born in Southern California in Orange County.
Okay.
A month old when my parents went to Iraq. Basically, that's where I grew up. I spent the first 17 years of my life, almost 18 years, in Baghdad. So,
Wow.
Okay, not to interrupt here, but why, if they were in the U.S., why did they go to now your extended family's from Iraq, right? Like grandparents or?
Yeah, my immediate family. I mean, my parents, my grandparents, everybody.
Okay.
We're Iraqi. I'm Iraqi.
But your grandparent came to the U.S. Why did your parents go back to Iraq rather than raise you here?
So it's a convoluted story a little bit. So let's go back a little bit to how my grandfather ended up, studying in the U.S. He actually lived in Iraq and became a renowned economist in Iraq. Completes his master's in Berkeley, and then heads back to Iraq to essentially pursue a career. And then, so I grew up essentially in Iraq. My parents grew up in Iraq. They visited the States, and that's where I was born. It wasn't.
You weren't living here. You just were visiting. No. Okay, that makes more sense.
I had other family members who were living in the States, but not my parents at the time. Their siblings were, but they weren't. And so I grew up in Baghdad with no intention, by the way, to come back to the States until I had to essentially make a decision whether I wanted to serve in the military under Saddam at the time, or leave the country altogether. And so I came to the States, age of 17, about to turn 18, a month from turning 18, because that's essentially when you can't leave the country unless you serve in the military. You complete your military service. And at that point, my father called me and said, listen, you're already there. We're going to send you your things. Just stay. And so, of course, that comes with its own challenges. You're a fish out of water. You don't know anything about the culture that you're now in. Luckily, I spoke English, and that's, I picked up my English in Iraq. I went to a school where I learned all that, but it was a very challenging experience for sure.
Whether you already have a laundromat or are looking to get into the laundry industry, everyone needs proper drainage. We use HM Company drain troughs. Their drain troughs were first created in 1991, and they have been the leading drain trough manufacturer ever since. They're made in the USA, and their drain troughs are fully customizable to meet your needs. That's why we've used them ever since entering the industry. They're easy to clean for our staff and plenty sturdy when we need to walk on them when servicing our washers. With the ability to span up to 25 feet, our troughs rarely need to be connected together, creating an easy installation. Want to slope your trough like we do? No problem. Just let the experts at HM Company know. For more information, go to their website at draintroughs.com. That is draintroughs.com. HM Company Drain Troughs. They've been leading the industry since 1991. Check them out today.
And so I'm an American citizen, just didn't grow up in the States. And so that's the backstory. Now, how did I get into the laundry industry? Like I said, it's a convoluted story. I went to school at UCSD, UC San Diego, then pursued a career in DC for a while in banking, international development, completed my master's in the UK, went to work in Saudi Arabia, of all places. After that, I came back to the States. I had a decision to make. Do I jump over to Dubai, Abu Dhabi, and try to pursue a career there? Or do I come back to the States? And so at that point, I made the decision, let me go back to the States and I'll pursue a career in fitness. So I picked up a job I left a 6-figure job, a desk job, procurement director at a company. Now I'm essentially getting paid $14 an hour after taxes, training people on how to box. Because I wanted to open up a gym. That's where I thought I was headed. But I looked at that model and I saw that the owners, who were the face of the company, one of them was an Olympian boxer. I mean, the guy is well-to-do, but he was still active in the business, running it day to day 5 years later. And that's not the business model that works for me. I wanted to create something whereby it can kind of run and function without me.
And they might love working in it every day. I mean, some people do.
They do, absolutely. But that model wasn't going to necessarily work for me. I wanted to create something, like I mentioned, that would function with or without me. I can't be the face of it because, I don't have the fitness background that they have. They're well known. They have he's an Olympian. He has a medal. I do not have an Olympic medal. Last time I checked, I didn't get one. So it wasn't going to be a successful option for me. So then I looked at my own problems. What are my challenges day to day? And one of them was laundry. I lived in West Hollywood at the time, and anyone who knows West Hollywood knows that many of these rental dwellings don't have their own units when it comes to laundry. So you're sharing one with everybody else in the building. And how often do you go there and see that all the dryers are occupied or all the washers are occupied? People leave them there for days, and there's only 3 washers to begin with anyway. So you end up going to a local laundromat to get your laundry done, which is challenging. It's a challenge of its own. So I thought, listen, there's a need here. But first steps first, I need to buy a laundromat. That's essentially what I need to do. And it can run whether I'm there or not. And so that's how my journey started in the laundry space. It's not because of passion for softener or yeah.
So
you didn't dream of owning a laundromat as a kid. We ask everyone that. No one's ever said yes. No,
No one's ever said yes. No one's ever said yes. But let me tell you, I would not do it any other way. This is a great space to be in.
Agreed.
I mean, the fact that you just said it's a growing industry, it could be going into the 50 billions. That's impressive to me. There's certainly a lot of growth in this industry, and if you're considering going into it, I highly recommend it. There's certainly a lot of tools, a lot of people you can connect with to make that happen.
Yeah, for sure. So tell us real quick, let's back up, and how did you acquire your first laundromat? Walk us through the process of, did you buy a turnkey store? Did you buy a rundown laundromat? Did you build new from scratch? What made you choose the location? Any information you're willing to share? Because a good portion of our audience are, I call them prospective laundromat owners, right? They don't own one yet, but they're watching the show hoping to pick up a couple nuggets because they're looking to buy one, or maybe they're currently in due diligence or things like that. What was that process like for you, and how did you kind of hone in on the one that you ended up buying?
Yes. So it took me about 5 months from the point where I started looking for laundries to the point where I actually I put an offer and started open up escrow and so on. So 5 months is quite fast, actually, by many standards. And so what I would recommend, being in the laundry industry, you get a lot of calls from people thinking about laundry. And so I'll take those calls. I'll try to help as much as I can, time permitting. And what I always say to anyone I speak with, if this is going to be your first store, buy a turnkey store. Buy something that you can absolutely do diligence on and validate the numbers of, rather than go with something that's on the cheaper side that has a lot of potential. Definitely do not do a build out as your first store. If you have appetite for it, go right ahead. I certainly don't. And I would recommend for anybody going into the industry to buy a turnkey store as your first store. After that, I mean, you have experience, a year, 2 years, 3 years into it, you can maybe take more risk. But as a first store, pay the extra buck, pay the premium, get accurate numbers, and go in fully. Go in with 2 feet and see what you can get done. But yeah, that would be my approach to anybody, and that's exactly what I did. I went with a store completely outside the geographical area where I was searching.
Oh, really?
I was looking for a store in the Hollywood area because, like I mentioned, I was in West Hollywood at the time, and I found a store 45 minutes south of that. So I thought I need to move for the store, be closer, because it's my first business. Chances are I'm going to be taking shifts, which I did. I absolutely did. We'll get into that in a little bit, probably. But yeah, I'd sweep, I'd clean, I'd do, the whole shebang to keep it running. I'd open the store, I'd close the store. And that's essentially how it started.
How did you find the store? Was it like listed through a business broker if it was a turnkey store?
I would get on BizBend and BizBuySell.
Okay.
Contact every owner there is, every broker there is. At the bottom at the time, I'm not sure if it's still there, but through BizBend, you would have a list of brokers at the bottom of the page. It just classifies, names of brokers and what they do, a bit of a paragraph about each and every one of them and their contact information. So I started contacting them and talking to them on the phone. And one of them, we kind of hit it off. I thought he came across as trustworthy. He helped me sort of analyze deals on some of the stores I was going to put an offer on in Hollywood. And then he said, listen, I have a store for you that I just got on my desk right here. It's completely outside your area, but it's a good store. Would you mind taking a look? And that's how it started. So I created a relationship with that broker, and I've been in touch with them ever since.
We talk about that all the time, the importance of the mentorship, finding that mentor. And I just kind of want to piggyback on what you said about your first store being the turnkey store. We did not have that privilege because we were broke. And I know we talked to a lot of people trying to get into the industry. They don't have the money for that turnkey store. So I totally agree. The turnkey is ideal for a newbie into this industry. But when you can't afford that, I would add on to that, if you have to do the zombie mat, get a good mentor. Since you don't have that knowledge, make sure you find somebody that does have that knowledge to help you. So I just want to add that because I know there's other people out there that are where we were. I guess that would be. But anyway, we were broke. We were poor.
Fair enough. And that's the barrier to entry in this industry. There's no inventory, right? Especially if it's a laundromat, not a wash, dry, fold facility. There's no inventory. There's no cogs, very little cogs. And so what is it that's going to be the barrier? It's the capital investment up front. Mm-hmm. As a first-time buyer, first-time owner, chances are you're going to shell out 30-40% down for that first store.
Tell me a little bit about the store that you eventually ended up buying. Was it 3,000 square foot, 5,000? Was it a standalone building? It sounds like it was a turnkey store, but that doesn't always mean that there aren't improvements you can and should make to the store. Did you make a lot of improvements to it, or was it just a well-oiled machine that you paid a high multiple for and still have a great business today? What was that like for you?
Dave, have you ever bought a new car and started adding stuff to it that are completely unnecessary just because it's a new car and you're excited about it?
Yes, I have.
That's exactly what I did with the store. I bought a turnkey store and I repainted it in the same color that it had before, maybe a shade darker. And I thought, this looks so much better. It really made no difference whatsoever. I started spending money. I put on this mural that cost me $2,000. What am I doing? Why this mural? It's unnecessary. Mm-hmm. And so save your money. If you see money coming in, save it. You're going to need it down the line. There's going to be a lot of CapEx.
Oh yeah.
Capital expenditures that'll come your way. You need to replace a pipe somewhere, plumbing, anything you come across, electrical, replacing a machine. You're going to need that money. So hold on to it. Don't spend it. That's what I did. And it was a mistake. It was absolutely a turnkey store. It was fine. It could have run just fine without any improvements I made to it. I made tiny adjustments, I guess, to how people get bonuses with what the system permits, of course. The system that I had, I don't want to mention the name, is archaic. It was a card system, and the card system was archaic. So I didn't have much flexibility, but even within that constraint, I was able to, for example, customers come in, they add $20, they get $2 extra on each card. That ended up being a massive way for us to generate income almost immediately because customers are dropping 20s instead of $2 here, $2 there. And then a bunch of other tiny improvements. Honestly, we installed internet. We did that for a while. We did some marketing through that internet provider. That was helpful. And then other than that, the store was absolutely fine. The machines were clean. Focus on the important aspects. Why are customers going there? So once I, redirected my efforts into focusing on these things, I realized we're much better off.
So what size is the store today?
Oh yeah, you mentioned that. The store is 2,800 square feet with a back bay of another 200 square feet. So 3,000 total.
Okay. Gotcha. Well, in LA, that's a pretty good sized store, right?
It's a decent sized store. Yes.
Yeah, for sure.
Most stores are going to be in the 2,500, maybe 2,500 or less sort of range in general. But yeah, 3,000 is a decent sized store.
Okay. So anything to learn from buying the store? When you buy a turnkey store, there's a big risk for, you better have that NOI right? If it's a 5 or a 6 or 7x of NOI, I mean, you get that, they pull the wool over your eyes. Was there anything to learn from that experience? And then we'll move on to your delivery story, which I can't wait to dig into.
I was lucky because I bought it from the landlord, and the landlord had incentivized by the fact that he needed me to pay rent. Mm-hmm. So he gave me a 30-year lease on that store.
Okay. Nice.
At a very good rate because he wanted to keep me there. He was incentivized by that. In fact, actually both stores that I bought through the landlord who owned the store. And so in both cases, I was lucky.
If you're thinking of getting into business for yourself, I have something I think you'll find useful. Hi, I'm Dave Menz, owner of the best-selling book, Laundromat Millionaire, The Grit to Elevate an Industry. I've been in the laundromat business for over a decade, and I've grown it from one janky location to 4 high-quality laundromats with over 30 employees on our team. Don't believe me or think I'm just another goofball scheme on the internet? Go ahead, Google my name, Google me, and even check out my podcast, The Laundromat Millionaire Show. Truth is that I get you're skeptical, and I would be too, but hear me out for a second. Back in 2009, I started with about $30,000 in cash, and then I leveraged myself into a multi-million-dollar operation using laundromats as the vehicle. And now I want to share some of the things that I've learned while helping other laundromat owners and expanding my own businesses with you. Looking for a get-rich-quick or passive income business? Well, this isn't the business for you. Looking for a business that is flexible, stable, cash flows well, and is recession resistant and is needed in every community in the country, then I've got you covered. And what you're looking for is a modernized laundromat. Nope, not just any laundromat, but a modernized laundromat. Just look around in your local neighborhood. Look at the local laundromats around you. It's likely in bad shape, and it's really not serving anyone very well. But it doesn't have to be that way. If you want to learn more about my course and my coaching program, just click on the link for more information. But let me warn you, while the transformation in your community and your life are for real, so is the work. That's right. This is a real business with real investment and real work involved. But man, just imagine how worth it it'll be when you look in the mirror and realize that you're a laundromat millionaire.
So what does your business model look today? Do you still have that first laundromat?
I do.
Okay.
It's still doing this thing, and we're actually going to be retooling. So at the end of this month, we'll have new machines coming in, and a bunch of other stuff that we're doing.
Nice. What machines are you putting in there? I know people always like to hear that.
Yes. So we have Speed Queens right now. I have a great relationship with Speed Queen here, and I'm continuing on with Speed Queen. So I want to keep. I'm a big fan of keeping the equipment more or less uniform.
Yeah, for sure.
If you can, it's understandable. You know, you're not going to be reprimanded for it, by customers, but customers like to see a standard for how to interact with those machines. Mm-hmm. If one machine has a dial, the other one has buttons, the third one is electronic, it takes away from that experience. Is it absolutely detrimental? Probably not, but I prefer it. Aesthetically, from a user experience standpoint, that's where I like to be.
Gotcha.
What about software? I know you mentioned card system before. Have you changed what card system or what kind of software you use, or are you going to?
We hadn't, but we are going to do that. So we're going with Sense. Mm-hmm. Well, not Sense anymore now, but they're Laundroworks. Laundroworks got bought out by Sense. Yep. So yeah, we're going Laundroworks on those machines. I really like that software. It came across as very strong when it comes to user experience and reports and analysis and things of that nature. So that's the direction we're headed. I'm very excited about this because that would allow me, the store is fully attended right now.
Okay.
That would allow me to maybe take off a few hours here and there and have the store kind of run itself, automate it a little bit, especially here in California where minimum wage is now $17.28. So it's quite a bit, in the laundromat space where employees are not really we're not doing any wash, dry, fold in that store. So the employees are a cost center, not a profit center. It's that's costly. It's very costly. So I'd love to automate a little bit, and that system will allow me to do that.
Man, I'm excited for you. All new equipment. I assume all new equipment, washers, dryers, and everything. Is it a total retool?
It's going to be washers only.
Washers only. Okay. Well, if you're gonna pick a side, I always say do the washers first.
Definitely.
Yeah. New card system. Any other changes you're making to it after 7 years?
New paint job. We're going to add a bar as well for customers to sit because we're running out of bench space. We're going to occupy some of it with with the vending machines. And so we're going to add almost like a bar with stools where customers can sit there with plugins for their phones to charge, and also a kids area in the back. Our area is heavy with families, so the household size is average of 5, and so this is a specific part of LA. And so what we want is, since customers are coming in with their kids and their kids have no place to stay, and I'm coming in with a new perspective of having my own 2 kids, I want to have a specific designated area for these kids. Now, the store is not too big, so I'm going to have to be creative in how I do that, but we already have a plan.
By the way, I don't think I asked this. What is the name of the laundromat, if you don't mind sharing?
Yeah, that one is called Laundry House.
Laundry House. Okay. Was that the name when you bought it?
No, it was called Laundromat.
Well,
Creative.
That's better than porn laundry, I guess. Very common. Very common.
Yeah. It was called Laundromat, and we changed it to Laundry House.
Gotcha.
So I know you have a second facility now where you do your wash, dry, fold, your delivery, right? It's an OPL facility. Did you ever do drop off or pick up delivery out of this first location?
That's where it started.
Okay.
So I had an option at that point. I can either buy another store, another laundromat, or invest in the future of where this industry is headed, which is towards, on-demand services, whether it be food, laundry, medicine, anything delivery, anything on demand. And so I started with doing wash, dry, fold in the store. So drop off customers can come in and we do their laundry.
Mhm.
I did that for about 7 months before I had a system in place where we can now track the garments. Keep in mind, I had no idea what I was doing. This is the first time that I was running an operation of that.
We've been there.
Yeah, you're trying to figure it out. And you think you're recreating the wheel. Now, there are other people doing it. They've been doing it for a while. But
they weren't sharing. Back then, they weren't sharing.
True.
Now you have all these resources.
It was a different industry back then, for sure. For sure. Absolutely. And it was 2017. It's been a while. 2017, the industry changed a lot in the past 7 years. And so we did that for about 7 months. And then I thought, I think we're ready. Let's try and do pickup and delivery. And I put the orders in my car. And if I had 3 orders that week, 3 bags, I'd be like, that's what I was shooting for. I'd be very excited. And so I deliver them. I had a night delivery window and a morning delivery window, and I'm doing it by myself. So I'd be out, trying to go to dinner, but then I have to do a delivery before dinner. So I'll carry the laundry. It was nuts, but that's what I did. And I try to show that we're much bigger than we actually were. So I'm handling customer service. I'm doing marketing. I'm doing in some cases, the processing. I'm certainly doing the driving. And so I'll answer the call, customer service, and I got an 800 number. And I'll say, oh, sure, yeah, the driver is almost there. They're about 5 minutes away. And then I'll ring the doorbell. I'm like, oh, yeah, I got a call from customer service. They said you asked.
I love it. I love
right
it.
Here.
You're like, yeah, I got a ticket sent my way.
and all I was trying to do is, I'm not trying to be deceitful, but all I'm trying to do is validate who we are. Like, we are legitimate. We're not, some guy doing it out of his own house. We're doing it out of an operation. We have a process. It is a facility. It is being done by someone who knows something about laundry. When I say someone knows something about laundry, it's my staff who had been doing wash and fold previously, and I'm also learning from them as we do it. So I'd help them, fold socks, fold towels, and they do everything else. Because again, I am not a folder. That's not my skill. So, and then soon after that, I started going into the space of maybe having a customer service agent, a driver, a marketing person, salesperson, operation manager, shift lead, general manager now where we are. And so at this point, I go in once a week. I can actually run it almost completely virtually. There's no cash to collect on the wash, dry, fold. The laundromat obviously is a different story. But that's my mantra is do it yourself, build it, and then delegate it to somebody else to do. At least it gives you an idea how it's done. to develop certain KPIs so that you can track performance when someone actually gets it done for you, and then you can focus on growing the business rather than being in the nitty-gritty details of day-to-day operations.
Yeah, I just had a post on social media the other day where I was referencing everyone wants to buy a laundromat or a laundry delivery business, and usually they fall into two categories. They're gonna micromanage everything. They're gonna be the all the everything. They're not gonna have any redundancies, and they don't think it's possible. Right? They don't think what you and us do are even possible. Or the other end of the spectrum, they buy a business or get into the business and launch, and they think within 2 weeks they can just back out of the business and not do anything, and they can hire people to do everything. And I was saying, well, the answer is somewhere in the middle, guys. Right? Like you gotta know you can't manage the business and be the owner of the business if you don't understand the functions. For that matter, you can't build SOPs and functions and processes and accountability and even a leadership team. You can't empower those people, build those people, train those people up into what they are today if you're not a part of the business. So it seems like we end up with two ends of the spectrum here, and I'm trying to help people understand it's actually somewhere in the middle, which is a happy medium. So it's interesting to hear that you did that.
And back to what you were saying about hiring the right people and putting them in those positions, the right person in the right seat, that is so important. So you want to delegate and you hire somebody, you think, they have experience, but they might not be the right person for that seat. Mm-hmm. Or, the right person, just not the right seat, or not the right person altogether. So I follow Gene Wickman, who wrote the book Traction, if you've come across it. He developed this operating system for entrepreneurs, for organizations called EOS, Entrepreneurs Operating System. And one of the aspects of it is, he calls it GWC. So get it, want it, and have the capacity to do it. GWC. So the employee has to get it. They get what you're trying to do, what the brand stands for, what your values are, what your culture is. They want it. They want the job. They want the growth. They like doing what they do. And then lastly, they have the capability or the capacity to actually do the job. If any of those aspects are missing, this is not the right person or the right seat for that person. And so that's been, to today, we still use that metric to determine whether, and it's not something that, chances are there's pluses and minuses and a complete sort of structure where you can track each and every one of them. For us, it's a sixth sense. We deal with this person every day. We know they're not the right fit. They get it. They want it. They just don't have the capability. Or they want it. They have the capability, but they don't get that this is who we are. Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, that's hiring is just so important. I can talk about hiring for so long. Hire fast. Hire slow, fire fast. That's difficult in California, but you try.
Yeah, for sure.
Going back to your story, so you transitioned from having a laundromat, you started wash, dry, fold, and pick up and delivery out of it, and then you transitioned from that to a standalone building that did all of your drop off and pick up and delivery. A question we get a lot from people is, how do you know when it's time to expand to an additional place? Like, what was the transition from doing it all in your laundromat? What made you say, I need to find another location? How did you know it was time to look elsewhere?
Sure. Now, part of it is internally driven, and another part of it is it's external. Mm-hmm. So there's opportunity, for example, that comes your way, and you don't want to pass it on. And so for me, it's probably a combination of both. It was also a situation of absolute luck. I wanted to transition to a facility specific to Orangebag because we were making mistakes in laundry processing that I knew wouldn't happen if the facility was closed.
Can you give us an example?
Yeah.
I'll give you an example. So at the time, I wanted to grow into the commercial space. I can, of course, talk about the residential as well, but this is a big example because it was a big account that we lost because of it. And, we would mark the dryers. We would reserve specific number of dryers, 6 in total, out of the 54 4. These are stack dryers, so divide that by 2. So out of those dryers, we would reserve 6. And in those dryers, essentially, we do our wash and fold for pickup and delivery. And we would mark those dryers with customer names. In one case, it was an Airbnb account that had, I think, maybe 20, 25 doors. And in one instance, a customer came in and thought, those were part of their order, took part of that order, and they ran with it. Now, of course, we had to compensate the customer for that loss. That's one instance. Another instance was staining. We weren't able to track stains as well as we should because we don't have the space to even run the operation in the space that we had. And so our sort of quality control was taking a hit as a result. In a third instance, we had residential customers who would come in and we would pick up their orders and we would place them in one wash and then we think we placed them in another wash because you're essentially working amongst a bunch of customers who are doing their own laundry, and not only are you encroaching on their space, but now you're telling them you're being an inconvenience because this is an order that we need to deliver tomorrow. How is this possible? It's 2 completely different KPIs that track both operations. On one hand, you want customers to come in and use those machines. On the other hand, you're telling them, don't touch those machines and excuse me while I try to finish this order before it needs to be delivered tomorrow. So it just didn't make sense. As an operation, it didn't make sense. It didn't feel like we're running it as a professional operation. Like we were essentially absolutely bootstrapping. We were a mom and pop shop, and I wanted to get away from the mom and pop shop feeling into we're a legitimate company type of setup. Can you still do that though in a laundromat? Of course you can. Have I seen people be successful running such an operation out of a laundromat? Absolutely. Do I still make mistakes in a closed facility? Yes, I absolutely do. But it's a more controlled environment. Mm-hmm. My soap is measured. It runs automatically. It's fed into the machine automatically. My stain separation is fantastic. So we track it quite well. We have the space to do that, to open up a sheet and look at it. We don't have order mix-ups at the same rate, not even close to the same rate that we had. I mean, at this point, we probably have a mix-up once every maybe 4 or 5 months. So it's not, and this is not like entire orders. We used to have an entire order mix up because they don't know whether they put it in this dryer or that dryer. A customer came in, moved the stuff from this dryer to the other dryer, and now you're wondering where the clothes are, and you put them part of another order. It's just a whole mess. Yeah. So that was the driving force. And forgive me, I might be taking too long in answering this question, but it's a topic I'm very passionate about. And at the same time, a laundromat right across the street became available. So I didn't want to pass on that opportunity, especially since if someone else bought that store, it would affect my store. So it's almost a defensive approach, but also, best form of defense is attack. And so I went in and bought the store myself. And so shut it down and turned it into a private facility.
So how big was that facility and how is it outfitted today? Did you completely fit it with OPL equipment? Did you just take what's in there and make it all free? What was that process like?
So I took 7 of the machines that were in that store. It was a 20, it still is, last time I checked, the same size, 2,400 square feet. Okay. Out of all the equipment, I kept 7. Everything else I just got rid of. 7 of them were 2019 wall schemats that I like. Those are good machines. And everything else I bought from Continental. I bought those OPL machines, 80s, 60s, 20s, and that's how it's running today. Now, I recently invested in a Foltex folder. Mm-hmm. So that's coming in end of the year, and I can't wait for that machine because it's going to improve my operation drastically. For anyone out there who doesn't know what that is, It's a universal machine that folds both garments, personal garments, t-shirts, shorts, pants, and it also folds towels and linens. So it's a big investment. It's not tiny, but I'm hoping that it would improve my operation drastically, and hopefully we can build enough business by the point it gets here, so that the payback period would be even faster than my current calculations say.
Yeah. Awesome.
Can you tell us what your pickup and delivery and your drop off service looks like now? So, like, how many employees, how many trucks, how many drivers? Do you use DoorDash, or do you have all your own vehicles? Also, like, what hours do you run? Do you do windows? Do you do on demand? Like, what does your service look like?
Yes, that's a loaded question. There's a lot
It
of
is.
Yes. So we have two vans. One is electric, the other one is gasoline. My approach is I'd love to go full electric in the near future. That's what I intend to do. I have a total staff of about 20 people at this point, and that includes processors, essentially folders, loaders, drivers, managers, and shift leads.
Mhm.
That also includes my marketing team and customer service. So we have two marketing people, one customer service person who works 6 days a week, and then everybody else is in the facility. What else? It was
What
a little
hours? What
what
hours
hours?
do they
Okay,
work?
so the hours are for pickup and delivery. The hours are 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. That's the first window to the last window. Every window is no longer than maybe 4 hours, wide. That's the biggest window that we have. But the different areas that we hit, we are a seven day operation, 7 days per week, and then my staff is in the store starting 5 a.m. when the drivers come in, and then we close at 10 p.m. That's when the last folder leaves the store. The loaders obviously leave before the folders, and then the folders leave last. They close the store, and so on we go.
And how many shifts do you have per day? From the 5
We
a.m. to
have
10
2
p.m.?
to 3 shifts depending on the day.
Okay.
Yeah, 2 to 3 shifts depending on the day. Not all areas are serviced 7 days a week. Some areas are serviced 3 days a week. Other areas are serviced 7 days a week. So it really depends on the area that you're targeting.
Okay.
One other thing that I did, and now we own the process end to end. So that means the drivers are Orangebag drivers, the vehicles are Orangebag vehicles. We do not use any sort of DoorDashes or Postmates or whatnot. It would be interesting. I think there are certainly platforms now that allow you to do that. But what we did was we licensed the brand to 2 other operators to run the operation from their own facilities in Los Angeles. And that's been hit or miss. The reason I say that is because in one case it was a miss, and the other case it was a hit. The hit is in the Silver Lake, Glendale, and now part of the San Fernando Valley. This is the specific areas, obviously, here. And if you're familiar with LA, these are areas that we do not service. In other words, the central Orangebag location under my sort of approach or my store, they're not serviced. So then I was approached by someone I knew, and they said, "Would you license the brand to me?" I said, "Absolutely, let's do that. We can work together." And so we handle the customer service, we handle the marketing, you handle the pickup and delivery and laundry processing. And there's a revenue split, obviously, and that's how we've been doing it. And that part has been very successful. Allowed me to reach more people, having access to a larger vicinity of LA.
Which is great, as long as they're doing the laundry up to what you want for your name brand. But if you partner with somebody who isn't, then
It denigrates the value of your brand. Yeah.
Do you all charge by the bag or by the pound?
It depends. So residential clients buy the bag, commercial clients buy the pound.
Okay.
Yes, and that decision was. I know that there's a debate in some circles about whether you should go by the bag or by the pound.
Mhm.
I don't think there's a right or wrong answer to that. The reason I went with by the bag is because I wanted to simplify the process. I wanted to make it easy for customers to know how much their laundry would cost. So we have photos of the bag. Um, we give them the bag to place their orders, and so they know that this bag is going to cost me this number of dollars, as opposed to put my stuff in this bag, and I'm not sure how much it's going to cost me. And so I went with that simple model, and it's worked for us. Now, one tip: if you're considering going by the bag, indicate or specify that it's orange bag laundry bags, not laundry by the bag. End of story. Do not do that. It's going to be Laundromat X laundry bag.
Mhm.
Don't just leave it open ended, because I had a customer give me 55-gallon trash bags and say, those are supposed to be $39.99 per bag, right? Yeah, it ends up being like, something along the lines of 70 cents a pound. We had to honor it because nothing on our website said that it's an orange bag laundry bag. And so we honored it. And then now you go on the website and you'll see, orange bag is mentioned, even though it's funny, but the size of an orange bag laundry bag.
Gotta specify.
Yes.
Awesome. What is your for pickup and delivery? What is your turnaround time? If you pick up from me today, how quickly do they get that back? Does that vary depending on the area and the day, or how does that work for you?
In most cases, we can do 24 hours. Some areas we don't service every day, so those are automatically in the 48-hour turnaround time. But we have 24 hours available for any area that we service daily.
Gotcha.
Nice.
Okay.
I have a question. So I saw you have been you are classified as a green certified business. What does that mean? What does that require, and what does that mean?
Yeah, so this is something I looked heavily into to become green certified. I mean, especially in the LA market, it's an important marketing tool. But besides that, I have a personal focus on protecting the environment and taking care of the environment. This is for generations to come, especially now that I have kids. I think about that, and so when I looked at the different machines out there, when I purchased the Continentals, it was one of the few machines that, for example, would run at 400 G-force. For anyone who doesn't know what that is, it's that's the speed that the machine runs at when it's drying the clothes, or essentially straining them from any water. The spin cycle, if you will. And so once you do that, you place the items then from the washer into the dryer, and it just speeds up the drying process by maybe improves it by maybe 30% or so. And so that's one of the things that I invested in, and I took seriously. Another thing is I try to minimize my plastic usage. So recently we started bundling, especially on the commercial accounts, all the linens and towels in twine, not twine that's made out of plastic, twine that's made out of cotton. And that way minimizes the amount of plastic that we use. Actually, it also improves the bottom line, funny enough. And so there's certainly a need for businesses out there who can focus on protecting the environment while doing business. There's a social aspect to it. And I contacted here in California, I contacted certain companies to see if they can help with our certification process. And one reached out to me and said, yeah, absolutely, we can certify you in California and the county of LA. And so we did that. And so they would come out to my store and they would, have a checklist and walk me through the process. So, for example, we have a recycling bin inside the store. Minimize the usage of plastic cups, the top of toner and the printers that you use. That's something to consider. If you're selling vending items, put recycled plastic bags that you sell to customers rather than the standard bags. Look at your water pressure on the sinks. Put a valve in there to minimize the water pressure. Another thing is Energy Star equipment. So whether it be a fridge, uh, washers or dryers, or even the printers that you use, a microwave or whatnot, any appliances. And so those are some of the few things that we did, and among others. And so we got that green certification, and we're now the only green certified pickup and delivery company in Los Angeles, and I believe actually in Southern California altogether. So very happy about that. It took several months to get across the line to make sure that we're compliant, and now that we are, I'm glad to share that information with anyone who would ask.
So for our listeners, if they want to be green certified, they would. So I guess in their local government, there would be some type of green certification process. They would contact those people. And did they come in and pretty much tell you like what you need to do, what you need to change to be able to be certified then?
Yeah. So first off, you have to do your own research to make sure that you are absolutely doing your part to make sure that you are compliant. And then as long as they see that you're doing some work to head in that direction, that there's an impetus that's driving you to get there, then they would essentially help you sort of clear that certification. And if in many cases they could tell you, listen, this is not something that's going to be for you. We can't certify you.
No.
Awesome. Absolutely love it. So tell us where you're at today. So you've got this one laundromat, you've got this OPL facility across the street. How much has your business grown over the years, and where do you see the future being? Like, what are your goals next? Are you looking to build a 6,000 square foot facility, or where are your ambitions?
I would love to be able to invest in a larger facility down the line. In my market, I would most likely have to move out of the central part of LA that I'm in right now. Just from an investment standpoint, it wouldn't make sense for me to invest in an area that honestly has become almost unaffordable in terms of buying a space and being able to run an operation out of. Sure. So I have to go to the outskirts to do that, which still could mean that even though our driving distance would be much larger, we'd cover more mileage, it would still make more sense. I'm getting to the point now where I'm running out of space again in this facility. Would I have wanted to invest in a larger space from the get-go? Absolutely. But like I said, some decisions are internally driven, others are externally driven. And so that's the direction I'd like to go, is to invest in a facility that's outside the city center and see what more damage we can do. Damages in quotes, we can do to get there. Yeah. I see this industry. I love the stat that you shared about the growth of the industry. I certainly see it. I see that this is an industry that is here to stay. I want to invest more into it. Previously, I mean, even when I started in this business, I thought 5 years and I'm out. I'm going to go invest in real estate and start another business in a different industry and so on. And now 7 years in, I'm actually more entrenched than I was, ever before, honestly.
Awesome. Do we have anything left for him today?
I think we hit all of my bullet points.
Awesome. Well, the last thing we have for you today is, first of all, thank you for your time to, like I said in the beginning of the episode, thank you for taking the time out of your busy day. But how can people reach you? How can they find you and connect with you?
The best way to reach me would probably be on LinkedIn. So you search my name on LinkedIn. I'm very active there. Just send me a message or an invitation. I'll respond. Other ways to reach out to me is also, you can reach me by email, admin@orangebag.co. That's another place. And, look up our website, see our presence online, see if anything inspires you. Feel free to send me a message. The website is orangebag.co is where you'd find it. And that's my contact info.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us for the episode today. We appreciate your time and energy. And I don't think we've met in person. I can't remember when we did, if we have, but I hope to meet you in person someday very soon at a conference or a workshop or a networking event or a distributor show or whatever those things look like.
I look forward to it as well. Thank you. Thank you, Dave.
Absolutely.
Thank you,
Awesome.
Thank you.
Awesome. All right. For everyone back home, for Dave and Carla Menz here in Cincinnati, Ohio, and our friend Ayad out at Orangebag in LA, California, we just want to thank you for joining us today. Before we leave, we also want to thank our sponsor of the show, HM Company at draintroughs.com. If you have a need for drain troughs in your laundromat industry, they support this show. They keep it being free. Reach out to them and see if they can help you improve your laundromat operation and make it more fluid. Until next time, we'll see you. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.